What is up, guys? It is Harley here. Welcome to episode... I don't even know. 6? 6 is it? I have no clue. I've lost count. But we're back on the One Touch channel. We took a day break because yesterday, when the Denmark match was on, I think you all know what happened. I hadn't recorded the video, and it just didn't sort of feel right to make a video, upload it, advertise it after what happened in the match. I'm not going to mention it, but you all know what happened. But so out of respect, I chose not to upload yesterday. But we're back today. We're back with another Euros fantasy video, and I have stole this idea off of FPL mate, but he is I don't think he cares that someone with 150 subs is stealing his video idea when he's, well, one of the biggest FPL accounts out there. But it's buy, sell, keep, avoid. Now, if you don't know what buy, sell, keep, avoid is, for Matchday 2, it's players, well, it's simple really. It's players you should buy, players you should sell, players you should keep, and players that you should avoid. So, players you should buy are players that scored high points but have low ownership percentage. Sell are players who have a high ownership percentage but didn't do well in Matchday 1. Players to keep are players that have high points and high ownership, so players you would expect to get points to keep for the next game. And players to avoid, which are players who didn't exactly get great points and they have mid-tier ownership percentage. So we're going to get straight into this with the buy. Now, the first player that you should buy for Matchday 2, and I think if you don't have this player in your team, I don't know what you're thinking. He came on after 20-30 minutes due to an injury. It's Meunier, okay? He's owned by 9%, Thomas Meunier. He scored 15 points against Russia. He played 63 minutes, so got 2 points for that. Got a clean sheet, 4 points. An assist, 3 points. And a goal, which is 6 points. He scored 15 goals at foot. Not 15 goals, sorry. 15 points for a defender. He's 5.5 million euros. He should 100% without a doubt be in your team now. I took an L. I took a major L. I didn't take Meunier because I didn't think he'd start, and he didn't start. Castagna started, but Castagna came off with an injury. Meunier came on, got a goal, assist, and a clean sheet. I chose Denayer over him, and Denayer didn't even start. Meunier is definitely going to come into my Matchday 2 team with Denmark as their next game. 5.5 million euros. He should definitely get into your team with ease. Obviously 9% owned, and he's definitely going to make it into my team. The next player who you should buy is another defender. He's already in my team. Is Leonardo Spinazzola. He got 9 points in Italy's 3-0 win against Turkey. Played 90 minutes, got a clean sheet and an assist. He was solid on that left back side, pretty much playing as a wing back, pretty much a left winger for Italy. I think Italy are a team that you should capitalise on for their points. He played brilliantly against Turkey. They have Switzerland next. Switzerland had a 1-1 draw to Wales, which was quite expected, so I think you should at least double up on the Italian players. I've tripled up because I've got Donnarumma, but I'm not too sure what I'm going to do for Matchday 2 yet. But Spinazzola is definitely a player that you should buy and have for Matchday 2, as well as Meunier. They should be two of the defenders if you're playing a back 3, back 4, back 5. Doesn't matter. Spinazzola and Meunier should be in that back, whatever. Now, moving on to two players that you should sell. So these are players that got low points and have a high ownership. Now, the first one is Kasper Schmeichel. Now, he's 5 million euros, 20% owned. You can't really blame him for what happened in the game against Finland. You know, the goal that Finland scored, he would have saved any other day, but that's not his fault. You can't help what happened. But with Belgium as the next game, I don't think Kasper Schmeichel should be a player who you should have in your team. Yes, against Finland, you could have brought him in, and a lot of people did, clearly. 20%. Is he the most owned goalkeeper? No, he's the 4th highest owned goalkeeper, but you should definitely sell him against against Belgium, who are one of the favourites to win the entire competition. He only scored 2 points against Finland, but again, I want to repeat it. It wasn't his fault that he conceded the goal that he would have normally saved, but it is what it is, and they play Belgium next, so that is my reasoning for selling Schmeichel. Now, the second player who you should sell for Matchday 2 is Chiesa. Now, the reasoning for this is because Chiesa didn't actually start against Turkey, so I'm not sure if he's going to start the next game. Italy have Switzerland. I'm not sure if he's going to start that game. 13% owned, 7 million euros. That 7 million euros can be spent elsewhere, even on Berardi for 6 million, 1 million euros less, which brings into my next point. There are better Italy alternatives. There are 3 midfielders for Italy who could bring in, or you should have at least, at the very minimum, you should 100% have one of these 3. It's the high budget option, which is Insigne, the mid budget option, which is Chiesa, and the low budget option, which is Berardi. You should 100% without a doubt have at least one of those 3 in your team, and I have Berardi. But he didn't start against Turkey, so I think it's quite unlikely that he's going to start the next game against Switzerland. And my third point, Italy have better alternatives. Now moving on to the 2 players that you should keep. So these are players that have high ownership and high points. So they're pretty much, it's common sense for those who you should keep. And the first one that we're going to go into is Hradecki, or Hradecki, however you say his name, for Finland. He was solid against Denmark, you have to admit. He was very good against Denmark. Now, played 90 minutes, he got a clean sheet, he got a penalty saved, and 6 shots saved. He scored 13 points against Finland, and they have Russia next. Russia are arguably an easier team to play than, they're much easier to play than Denmark. I got mixed up there with Finland, but Russia, by far the worst team in the group. Obviously, other than Finland, of course. I think Hradecki should be someone you keep in your team, even if it's just for the bench as a backup. He should definitely be in your team after his performance against Denmark in the 1-0 win that Finland got, despite the circumstances. But Hradecki should definitely stay in your squads if you have him. 34% owned, 4 million euros. Yeah, he should definitely stay in. The second player that you should keep in your team is Insigne. Now, obviously, he played against Turkey. He got a goal. Switzerland are the next game that Italy have, and I'm not gonna lie, they were a bit shaky against Wales. I think Italy could win that game quite easily against Switzerland. I think they do have the upper hand. They're one of the favourites. They are the favourites to win their group. Insigne, I think Insigne and Berardi could also come under that for the players that you should keep. Obviously, Insigne is owned by 14%, which is quite a lot. 8.5 million euros is very expensive. But if you have Insigne in your team from Matchday 1, you should definitely keep him if you're not going to use your wildcard or limitless chip for Matchday 2. I'm probably going to use my limitless for Matchday 2, but if not, Hradecki and Insigne are 2 players that you should keep in your team. Now, finally, onto the 2 players that you should avoid. So these are players that got low points and their ownership is meh. It's mid-tier. The first one is Soyuncu. Now, he plays for Turkey. The Wales game may look quite appealing because obviously Wales are, well, arguably, very arguably the worst team in the group, in my opinion. They were very lucky to get a point against Switzerland, but I think they're the worst team in the group. Now, Turkey is shaky at the back. They concede a lot of goals, as we saw against Italy. They conceded 3 to Italy. And I also think this is something that not a lot of people think about when they choose their defenders or midfielders for Fantasy League, is whether they're going to get booked or not. Now, I think Soyuncu is likely to get booked because he's one of those rowdy players that sort of, goes in for challenges a lot, and you get what I mean. And Wales have those quick attackers down the wing, Dan James, Gareth Bale. I think Soyuncu is likely to get booked against Wales, and I don't think he's going to keep a clean sheet. And judging by what happened in the Italy game, Soyuncu, he's owned by 7%, 5 million euros, 0 points. Yeah, like I said, so he had 90 minutes played, which got him 2 points, 3 goals conceded was a -1, and a yellow card, which was another -1. It's just a -1, but that -1, you never know, could come in huge. You know, Euros Fantasy isn't like FPL. It's not on a 38 game basis where you have thousands of points. This is going to be in the hundreds, you know. So 1 point, you never know, it could come down to 1 point if you and your friends have similar teams and you have a few differentials in there to each other. Now, do not pick Soyuncu. Avoid him for the Wales match. Trust me, do not include him. It could come back to bite me. It could come back and be bad, and he could get a goal and a clean sheet against Wales, but I highly doubt it. And I stand by the point that he's probably going to get booked. Come back to this if he doesn't, but I think he will. Now the second player, the final player in the video, to avoid is a surprising one, Luke Shaw. Now the thing with Luke Shaw, we saw it in England game today, he didn't get subbed on. He didn't even start against Croatia. His spot looked nailed on in the squad. I didn't have it in my fantasy, but let's have a look at the percentage who own Luke Shaw. 15%, he's €6 million. He could be involved against Scotland because I think the team will be circled, but I feel like Chilwell's going to get the nod at left back. I don't think Shaw's going to start there, and obviously my reasoning to avoid him is that his spot's not guaranteed in the squad, you know. Scotland, I mean, they're not an easy team to beat. You'd think Scotland, and you'd think, okay, they're one of the lower down teams, but they're attacking threats. I don't think England are going to keep a clean sheet against Scotland. I just can't see it. No, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I really don't think that England are going to keep a clean sheet. Yeah, by no means. I think we'll win the game easily, but I think we will concede. So that means Luke Shaw, no clean sheet, and he might not even start. He didn't play against Croatia, so that's my reasoning. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully tomorrow, but we'll have to see. But anyways, goodbye.